Hi, sixth graders. This is Mr. Ott with the new haircut, and today I'm going to be reading part 3 of our story, The Adventures of Odysseus, A Bag of Winds. Hope you guys enjoy it. Odysseus and his men sailed and landed on another island. There, King Aeolus, who was keeper of the winds, welcomed them. He held feasts for them, and they stayed happily for many weeks with the king, his wife, their sons and daughters. When it was time to leave, King Aeolus gave Odysseus a leather bag. I put in it the north, south, and east winds, but left out the west. This gentle wind will blow you eastward to Ithaca. Odysseus thanked the king and took the bag on board his ship. As soon as the crew hoisted the sail, the west wind wafted the ship along. Odysseus didn't tell his men what was in the leather bag, and they were curious. One day, when Odysseus was asleep, one man said, "Let's open the bag. Perhaps there's treasure in it," and he untied it. Out flew the north, the south, and east winds in a terrible storm, which blew the ship back the way it had come. There was nothing they could do to stop it. Circe's magic. The ship raced on, and at last they reached another island. Odysseus sent a group of men, led by Eurylochus, to find food and water while he and the other men guarded the ship. He didn't want to be captured by more giants. Eurylochus and his friends set off and walked for hours without meeting anyone. At last they saw a palace through the trees. When they reached it, a beautiful woman came out. She smiled at them. "I'm Circe. Come in, you must be hungry." She led them into a huge hall where huge plates of food were laid out on a table. The men ate and drank as much as they could. They laughed and sang and thanked Circe for her kindness, and didn't even notice that Eurylochus wasn't with them. He had been suspicious of this woman. When the men had gone into the palace, he stayed outside and watched through a window. As soon as the feast was over, Circe waved her magic wand, and the men instantly turned into pigs. Then she drove them, grunting, out of the palace. Eurylochus ran back to the ship and told Odysseus what he had seen. "I must rescue them," said Odysseus. Picking up his weapons, he ran to the palace. On the way, he was startled to see Hermes, the messenger of the gods, flying near him. "The goddess Athene sent me to give you this flower," said Hermes. "Eat it, and you'll be safe from Circe's magic." Odysseus thanked him and quickly ate the white flower. When he reached the palace, Circe came out to meet him. "Come in," she smiled. "You must be hungry." Odysseus thanked her and went in, certain he would be safe. Circe handed him a cup of wine which had a magic potion in it. She watched Odysseus drink it and then tapped his arm with her magic wand. Instead of turning into a pig, Odysseus jumped and pointed his sword at her. "Take me to my men," he ordered. Circe was terrified because her magic hadn't worked. She led Odysseus out of the palace to a pen full of pigs. "Change them back," commanded Odysseus. Circe rubbed magic ointment over the pigs. Immediately, they became human again. "Come back to my palace. We will have another feast. No more magic potions, I promise you," said Circe. Odysseus and his men accepted. They sent for the men guarding the ship and stayed with Circe, enjoying themselves for a whole year. At last Odysseus sighed and said, "It's time we went home." Circe was very sad. She had fallen in love with Odysseus, but knew he had to leave her. She gave him food and water for the voyage, and warned him of the many dangers that were ahead of him. The Sirens. Odysseus' ship sailed on and soon came to a very rocky island. Here sirens, who were sea nymphs, sat on the rocks and sang enchanting songs to the ships that passed. Sailors were lured to the island, their ships were wrecked on the rocks, and they were drowned. Circe had warned Odysseus about the sirens, but he wanted to hear their songs. "Tie me to the mast," he told his men, "and then fill your ears with beeswax. Don't take it out until we are well past this island." They did as he ordered. Then they started to row. The sirens sang their enchanting songs, but the men couldn't hear them. Furious that the ship was getting away, the sirens sang louder and louder. Only Odysseus fell under their spell, and struggled with the ropes that held him. "Untie me! Let me free! They're calling me! I must go to them!" he shouted. But the men couldn't hear him. They rowed steadily on until they were at a safe distance. Then they untied Odysseus's ropes and took the wax out of their ears. Well, guys, that's all I'm going to read for today. Stay tuned for part 4, which will come out sometime next week. We're actually getting towards the end of the story. And soon, well, I won't spoil what happens at the end.